Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, boils and ghouls, guess what? We're not actually in Hellywood today. We're not shifted. No, we're at the Tromaville Morgue. New Jersey's scariest place, Tromaville, plagued by the Toxic Avenger and you know,
various other things.
Sergeant Kabuki Man. Yeah, great people, man.
You're gonna have fun with this one, aren't you?
Yes, I am. And what we're doing,
you're smiling too much.
We're gonna look at it this way, okay? But just off the top, okay? Look, this is Hellywood Slab. We've somehow managed to bring Johnny with us.
Yeah, well, we need to have a slab.
Yeah, well, you know, so he's a little stiff. Sorry about that. But the point being is, yeah, we're in Tromaville. So we decided to review a movie that's like one of my favorite Troma films. That's Combat Shock. Before anybody gets angry and why haven't you done Toxic Avenger? Here's the deal. If Lloyd Kaufman will actually contact me and ask me, yes, if he will ask me to do a review for Toxic Avenger, I absolutely will. Because we all love Uncle Lloyd. Yeah,
Lloyd worked with him before. He's a really nice guy.
Worked with him? Yes, I hate you. Point being is, I'm a huge fan, been a Troma fan my whole life. The point being is, I don't think there's anything I could say about the Toxic Avenger that hasn't already been said. I mean,
if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you watch it.
The Hero Monster.
Don't watch the trailers. Don't watch anything else. Just pop it in, grab a pizza. I honestly guarantee you will be shocked.
Last time, of course, we covered the tragic passing of Roger Corman.
Yes.
This time, we are covering Combat Shock. This is a fantastic film. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a masterpiece collection. I love this DVD. I actually like this better than the Blu-ray that Troma currently has out. Although the Blu-ray is good and it's a very clean cut. It's been cleaned up. I like this because it's got both versions of the film. It's got the original American Nightmare cut, and then it's also got the later Troma cut, where they cut it down so it could get an R rating and released into the theater.
Does it have special features?
Yes, it does. We have a whole disc of special features on this.
You hear that?
But you know what? The Blu-ray's got a lot of these too, though.
Yeah, but see, that's basically
yeah. But you know, Buddy G, you know, made this. This is all guerrilla filming right here.
Thank you, Buddy G.
All guerrilla filmmaking around New York City. He filmed this whole thing. No permits, no licenses, no nothing, and some of the stuff he got away with making this movie, you would never in a million years be able to make now in 2024.
No.
There is no way. No. There is no way.
With the exception of the explosions we've tried, and it's really kind of hard.
It's like, I don't know what it's like here in Tromaville, but man, they got like a lot of cops and all that craziness. They just don't like to let you do anything fun anymore.
No. No.
But look, Combat Shock is...
So what was the name of the lead character?
Frankie. Frankie literally has like the worst day ever.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
In the 80s. I mean, first of all, look. I want to point one more thing out about this film.
Here's your synopsis about it.
Well, we're going to in a second. I love the soundtrack.
I am sorry.
To this film.
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack to this film is 80s perfect. Pop bliss.
It is on point.
All Casio keyboard, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's got that.
It's got your little
kind of
what's the word I'm looking for?
Rhythm to it, and
it's your B-flick goth wave fix.
Yes,
for a
that actually works.
Film.
It's kind of like, sorry guys, but a lesser talented version of Depeche Mode.
I was going to say that.
Yes, it's very good though. It's very good. I mean, Troma, release the soundtrack to this on vinyl. I'll buy it.
That would be a great.
Give us a limited edition vinyl of the soundtrack to Combat Shock. That would be very cool. But Frankie.
So let's see, Frankie
has a very bad day.
Let's start before that. He's a POW.
A POW. He's a veteran from the Vietnam War, and things were not good. He's having post-traumatic stress disorder. I hate that term. I should call it combat
Shell shock.
shock. Shell shock. Combat shock.
They were right when
Something
they said
to
shell shock. 'Cause it was
punch
true.
you so that you know what these people are going through. Post-traumatic stress disorder sounds so... We've cleaned it up and we've made it clinical so that it doesn't have that that kick in the butt that it needs. And the title of this is very, very apropos. But he you know, he's been through hell. I mean, the movie starts with the helicopters and the bombings going on and the Viet Cong running around. And
puts you in it.
yeah, what's crazy is it's not even filmed in Vietnam. They filmed that in New York, and it looks the part. I mean, he's running around trying to find his people and stuff, and, you know, bad things happen. Just bad things happen. We're going to try to avoid the K word in this one because I really don't want it to get demonetized. Well, we'll say some people were terminated because the K word, you know, is a big no-no on YouTube. This isn't... Yeah.
There is some moderate violence.
Moderate?
In this film.
There is an extreme amount of violence in this
But
film.
it's your average everyday in the slums of 1980s New York.
Right.
So it's kind of like they live. It's a really bad situation right now.
Right. So he, you know, his wife is, or he wakes up. It's been a dream. His wife is upset because they're getting, you know, they have no food. The apartment that they live in is a mess. They have a mutant child. Okay, this thing looks like paper mache ET, but it works for the story. It works for the movie.
What was that movie? The one with the child in the cage, and they had to go ahead and take it to court. Mom had a baby.
At first, I thought you were going to say basket case.
A basket case is a different one.
Yeah, well, I understand that.
But
Not quite. It's alive.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, now take
been a
those
minute.
two, put them together, blow torch the latex until it's kind of molded. But it was really good for what it was when you realize what it is.
This film has it had no budget.
Zero.
And the fact is that they got this thing to work the way that it did was pretty amazing.
I liked it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, all you know, they get into the typical couple fight. I mean, he wants, you know, he's upset because she woke him up. She wants him to get out and get a job. They have no food. She's worried about the baby. And of course, later in the film, we find out she's pregnant.
Again.
So she's pregnant again. And, you know, we're obviously going to be worried about, oh God, am I going to have another one of these mutant children? You know,
now in
because
case you haven't
he's been
caught this,
exposed to Agent Orange. There's a lot of things about this film.
It's one of those war eye-openers.
Yes, but don't expect it to be a war film. This is
not a war film.
This is a gritty horror film.
Taxi Driver.
Yes, actually, I would put it in the same category.
Because it's that feel of that story, following him through everything.
Yes, but...
And you feel bad for him.
You do. You really do. He looks like... I'm sorry here. I said it. Yeah, Trent Reznor and Frank Zappa had a kid, and you've got Frankie. I mean, it's really what he looks like, but he's just very kind of...
They're trying to get out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the demons are talking to us. The corpses.
Yeah.
You know, they're mad. It's their turn. But you really feel sorry for Frankie, and actually I do feel sorry for his wife and his child. I mean, there was a lot of things going on at the time that Combat Shock was made. You know, the world, you know, our country was not very nice to our veterans, and I think that's really the story at heart that's here. I mean, he runs into Paco and his group of thugs.
Paco's like a loan shark on a way.
Yeah, kind of a loan shark guy.
Dealer.
They owe him, runs hookers and everything else that they show. And of course, the G.I. Joe Dreadnought. You have to see the movie to understand. The character, come on, you know, he's based off of Torch from the Dreadnoughts. But anyway, you know, which of course beat the crap out of him because he owes them money.
Yeah.
And basically tells him, hey, if you don't...
On the basketball?
I guess. Listen to them, children of the night. What lovely music.
I can't say anything more on that.
But the point being is, he owes money, and they basically threaten his wife and his child. They're going to put the child in the freak show, or she can go work off the money, you know. And so,
not to mind, there's like, what, a 12-year-old hooker?
But that's later.
But that's
connected to him, yes.
Yeah, so this guy's a real...
He's a real sleazeball. He's nasty. And, you know, so he's just, it chronicles his day of trying to find a job and trying to function, and the hallucinations that he's having about the Vietnam War and what happened to him, because he can't really remember or recall what happened because he was a POW, and, you know.
For 2 years.
Yeah, for 3 years? 2 years?
2 years, 2 years as a POW, and then 3 years in the
hospital. And it was, you know, it's beautifully written. This is a beautifully ugly movie.
Especially when it starts getting deep into
heroin and
junkies. Oh my God.
Mike, who's like robbing people, and is his friend. You know, I mean, and again, he's another POW. He's wearing the pea coat and everything else, and all he's trying to do is feed his habits so he can't hurt anymore. And of course, Paco is at the center of all of this. Whole movie is like a perfect intersection and weaving of highways that all end at the one spot. But Frankie, through this whole thing, you know, all he's trying to do, you know, you basically see a movie that shows where the system failed veterans. And actually, I still think it would be a solid watch now, because it's still going on, just not quite to that degree.
In fact, if you're, you know, watching this, Mr. Buddy, I think today, in this time, a revamp would be beautiful in today's story.
I don't think so. I don't. You already know me in remakes, man. No, just re-put this in the theater. Put this in the theater.
Put it in the theater?
Put it in the theater. You know, do like a special screening of it or something. I mean, look, trauma films or trauma fans will come out in droves just to watch it. But I'm telling you, man, this film, other than the limitations of some of the special effects, the story.
That's why I say with today's time, that still would be a good film.
Well, yeah, but again,
the story, everything. That's what I'm saying.
But they would have to Hollywoodize it and sensationalize it.
Nothing like that. I'm saying
not
just to say the fact that this film is so good the way it is, that if they were to remake it even today, it still will hold up. It is such a great film.
All right. So you know, the whole thing, you know, comes to, you know, he's just trying to find a job, and of course he goes to the employment bureau. There's no job. There's no work for him. Yeah, that was a funny scene in itself.
That was funny.
And the irony. Yes. Yeah, as the
it is hot in here. Let me take
I'll take my coat off because it's a hard life. So I will take my coat off. It's like, huh?
But it's one of those odd moments in the film.
Yes.
But it works really well.
It fits in, and then of course, you know, you run into Mike. He gets heroin, you know, after mugging some lady, you know, and the way he decides to enjoy,
broken.
But he decides to enjoy it in a very we don't want to do that, in a very terrible way, and ends up in a bad way. And then it's really weird because another junkie steals the heroin from him, and then the lady he mugs finds him and takes his gun.
Yeah.
While all this is happening, Frankie gets a hold of his father, who, of course, always hated his wife.
Is a strange father.
Is a strange father who's also a racist bigot, which we find out.
Yeah.
And, you know, all he wants is help. His dad, I guess, you know, owned a company and had all this money and stuff. And it turns out, you know, he always thought Frankie was dead.
But we can't say much after that. We want people to watch
Right,
this.
we want people to watch this. It's just that the aspects...
He goes through a horrible day.
He goes through a horrible day, and it winds up, I'm just leaving it here, that Frankie gets a hold of this gun. And that's all I need to say. Yeah, I mean, you know, the cover isn't what you think either, though.
But that's what that is.
This movie, there's a lot of...
we want you to watch this movie.
You should watch this movie.
Watch this movie.
When I was younger, there used to be a video store, Palm Knolls Pharmacy.
I remember that.
I used to go to Palm Knolls Pharmacy, and I would rent their copy of Combat Shop all the time. And then we moved to the other city that we're not going to mention, and there was a Carousel Video there. And I would rent Combat Shop from them too. I swear, I watched that movie so much, I had to have worn out those days. I don't know. And yes, I still have a tape of it too.
I miss those video rental stores.
Yes, well, yeah, it was not always a blockbuster night in my home.
Yeah, not everyone can afford Blockbuster, let alone find one in certain neighborhoods.
It's not even about that. It's
I
just that the independent little mom and pop shops had the best movies. They had stuff that they carried stuff that Blockbuster didn't. You think Blockbuster had Combat Shock on their freaking? I guarantee you could find First Blood though.
Are we gonna do this again?
Yes, we're going to do this because the two films are relevant to each other.
Here we go.
And look, I love First Blood also.
Oh yes.
John Rambo's story is a very. See, my father was military. A lot of my friends are former military. We know one in particular that has gone through a lot
Yes.
of terrible things because of what happened to them in the military.
I know a lot of people like that.
I know a couple people that unfortunately have been through that.
And they suffer through their PTSD.
Rambo was a solid, horrible story of how society treated people coming back from that war. And but there was a stopping point with Rambo. Whereas Combat Shock, I really feel pushed through and pushed
It gave you the
that
reality.
button. It gave you the reality of this can be very, very bad. These people need our help.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't give them our help, terrible things happen. And yeah, Combat Shock doesn't have, it's not a typical trauma film. It doesn't have that dark humor or cynical look at things. It's very serious. And again, other than the subpar special effects with the baby, but that can be, again,
Once you realize what the baby is supposed to be,
right, it really doesn't hurt.
it's actually really detailed.
Yeah, it's kind of, it doesn't hurt the film. And I know that Buddy G, I guess he took it to all of these places to try to get the film released, and nobody wanted to take it on because it's a gritty, dark, violent film. And Troma was kind of like the last bastion, and they took it. They made him cut a couple scenes down so that they could get an R rating. So because the original cut was definitely
NC-17.
no, there was no NC-17 at the time, but it was an X.
Oh.
It was definitely an X rating because, and it's not. I'm telling you, not for sexual stuff either. It's a violent movie, and
The violent nature is severe.
it's not violent like a slasher film, though. It's violent in, okay, this kind of thing actually happened, and here's the reality of what's going on with these poor people. And it's kind of a different idea, I think, and a film that, really does deserve to be watched. I really, and if I was, and I'm not doing it, but we will one day, if I was to do a top 10 trauma film list, Combat Shock is definitely on that list, if not in the top 5.
Yeah.
Because, dude, it's an amazing film. I don't know if it's just all the experience I've had around military people.
It doesn't pull any punches.
Yes, it doesn't pull punches, and it will strike a chord. So, honestly, Dr. Morgus Rotten on his Rotten meter gives Combat Shock 5 ghouls out of 5. And it may not be the biggest budget film. It may not be a Fox or a Sony Pictures or Columbia, TriStar, United Artists, or any other Disney, whatever you can throw at it. It didn't need to be.
No.
And honestly, Lloyd Kaufman and co should be very, very, very proud to have this film in their catalog. I mean, it's definitely a special movie.
Yeah. It's an eye-opener.
It's an eye-opener. And realistic, too. That's the thing. It doesn't come across as, pardon my phrase, but bullshit. It doesn't come across as sanitized by a political system that said, no, you can't tell this story because, oh, man, it would make us look bad. It's a system. The system failed these guys, these people. And it's there, and it's still happening.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and it's very sad. Although, I will say this, just because the way the world is today, if you are triggered by things like that, or you are suffering from combat shock, post-traumatic stress disorder, I don't know if you really would want to watch this film, because it's brutal. It's brutally honest. And very blunt. And,
or get therapy after watching.
Yeah, once you get to the point, it is what it. It's one of the most shocking endings I've ever seen to a movie. It again doesn't pull punches, and you kind of see it building towards it.
The whole movie doesn't pull punches.
Yeah, but especially the ending, you're kind of hoping you're gonna get that. I'm saying you're hoping you get that Hollywood.
This isn't a Hollywood movie.
Yeah,
it's a trauma film.
That Hollywood happy ending, and
It's
you don't necessarily get that.
No. Well, there was that one moment of light throughout the whole movie. Okay. The brightest thing in the movie was the blood.
If there was a black, horrible heart to trauma that's pumping blood through it, Combat Shock might be the film that's doing it.
It's the brain.
Oh no, that's the black evil
The black
heart.
part would be the kill scenes in Oxy.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But this is
a pretty grim film. A good film.
It's the drug that pumps
And again, seriously, beautifully filmed for what it is, too.
Yes.
Beautifully filmed. They said it was, what, a 9mm film initially?
No, it was
16 millimeter.
and they brought it up to 32.
Yeah, so for a film that was
it's in
4:3 aspect ratio. But to see what they were able to pull off with that cheap little camera, and the sound is good. Dude, everything about this film is, the sound is good,
right?
The soundtrack was good, the story was good, there's no stupid, ridiculous lines, and I don't know if it was just what they knew was special. Even none of the actors and actresses were bad either.
No.
It was not, and I mean, as you put it earlier, trauma makes bad movies,
I didn't say it makes bad movies. There's just some things that are not my forte, but I do appreciate them.
I adore Trauma, man. I mean,
Trauma's great.
as Lloyd Kaufman would say, it's art, and all art is subjective to the viewer.
Yes.
So, honestly speaking,
But I like Combat Shock.
Combat Shock, and I'm telling you, you should see it. If you're at all interested in the military or whatnot, you should see the film. It's definitely a different watch.
I'll put it on my top 20 of trauma films.
Top 20.
Top 20. We'll talk about that
It's
later.
interesting to see that list. Anyway, so there's another one in the can. We're done. We're down with Combat Shock, which was a fantastic film. See it on the next viewing. We are going to be covering Addison Bynek's Psycho 8, and the sequel is coming very, very soon. So you got that to look forward to.
I've been in a lot of movies like that.
Look, we're not going into this now. We'll see you next time, and from
Same bat channel, same bat station.
Tromaville. Bye.